True or false? You, Brian Johnson, the man sitting across from me, one day, at some point, as of yet undefined in the future, you will die.
False.
Tell me more.
All right, Shalom. Kahala Yamla Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakahakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and bishops and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the elect, the 144,000 men, the servants, the prophets of Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, and to the rest of the elect, the 1/3, men, women, and children, sincere believers. To you I say Shalom. And this is why the scriptures say, I believe in Psalms, it says, I believe it was King David saying, why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? All right. And when you go into that word, rage, it goes into plotting. We're pretty much plotting against Jacob, right? Because all these different nations have conspired against Jacob, right? But that's going into something completely different. But these Edomites, these so-called white people, all right, the devil the Bible speaks of, they like to plot, okay, in the sense of, planning, all right, for the future, mapping things out, okay? So that aspect of plotting, not necessarily conspiring, and I believe the Hebrew word for plot is nagash. Yeah, so they like to, plan things out, but as it says in that same chapter, it's vain, okay? It's not going to come out to anything. It's pointless because they are subject to the prophecies of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. So Yahweh operates outside of time. Yahweh, who the world ignorantly calls God. There's a time frame for everything, all right? So all of these plots, all of the plans that these devils have, all right, especially when it comes to the mark of the beast, it's only going to be fulfilled to a certain point. Then, salvation will be right there. That's why, we could be out of here by 2028. It's very possible because this devil can kickstart things next year to a level where majority of the earth is getting, these implants, the RFID, C-hips, and these BCIs, surgically implanted into their bodies. Okay, to link them to consumer devices, right? This can happen very soon, but even that has a time frame as well. All right, but these devils, AI is their god, so they believe that they can achieve immortality through AI. Okay, because on the left-hand side, they are the gods of this world because the earth has been given into their hands, but they are trying to achieve immortality because they fear death, man. And they are trying to do it, as I mentioned, through artificial intelligence. Okay, so their immortality is artificial. It's not real. Okay, it won't happen. All right, and the word vain, it let me see here. The word vain, I believe, goes into emptiness. All right, vanity, and I'd like to add, it's worthless. It's hopeless. Okay, because there's no hope in these devils. All right, so let me get the first precept here because they will never be immortal. Okay, that's just some slucky. All right, so that's something that they will never achieve. But fortunately for everybody else, all the heathen and Israelites, we will be taking over and ruling because these devils got to go. So this is let me get this. This is a good one. All right, Psalms. Let's stay in Psalms. This is Psalms chapter 17, verse 13, and it says, "Arise, O Yahweh, disappoint him." Who is the him? The wicked devil the Bible speaks of, Esau, Edom, these so-called white devils on the planet Earth today, destroying everything, having everybody on the planet Earth mourning, okay, including the earth, the land, that should be taken care of and maintained in righteousness. All right. Disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. Right. Because we all need deliverance. When I say we all of the Israelites, okay, you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we are the ones that need deliverance. We are the ones that need salvation, because this devil conspires against us every single day of his life. But the point is, we pray to Yahweh Shem Shai that he will disappoint him, all of his plans. Okay, so this is going to, the aspect of, the conspire against Jacob, the children of Israel, so on and so forth. You so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the true Israelites the Bible speaks of. But this is a good prayer in my eyes as well. All right, disappoint him, cast down the wicked, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. But the point is, the Lord is going to disappoint this devil. All right. And let me read in the NLT to see. It says, "Arise, O Yahweh, stand against them and bring them to their knees. Rescue me from the wicked with your sword." All right. As I mentioned, we all need deliverance from this devil, because he wants to be like the Most High. All right. He wants to have full control, even more control than he has now over the human beings on the planet Earth. And to add to that, he wants to be immortal. He's doing all he can, because knowledge has increased. Yahweh Shem Shai has set up these devils in a position of power, and given them a vast amount of knowledge for them to use and to unlock certain things that give them the false sense of reality that they can actually, create an aspect of immortality with their artificial intelligence and these different advancements that they dabble into. Okay, so let me get Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12. And it says, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer?" All right. "Son of the morning, how art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nation?" And this is talking about the nation of Edomites, the so-called white people. Okay? Because on the left-hand side, they bear light. Okay, they bear knowledge of wickedness in high places, spiritual wickedness, and they're the rulers on the planet Earth today. Behind the scenes, these elites, but they're falling. All right, pretty much they've already fallen. All right, this is a future prophecy. This specific verse right here. All right, so it says, "How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations?" Because Yahweh Shem Shai is going to disappoint him and all of his plots, the Nagash, all right, his plans and so on and so forth. And it says, "For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven," which he did to a certain level in the skies. The Lord gives him the knowledge to create these planes and satellites, and that's the extent of how far they went up into the heavens. And it says, "I will exalt my throne above the stars of God," because this is what they say in their heart. All right, this is what they believe, because pride is made for the wicked. All right, and the wicked is filled with pride. So because of the pride and the knowledge that the Lord has given them, they're puffed up. They're elated. They're filled up with wicked helium, man, spiritually. So they believe that they're gods. All right, and it says, "I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the cloud. I will be like the Most High." So they definitely believe the things that they say when it comes to living forever and immortality. They think things are going to constantly, what's the word I'm looking for? Things are going to constantly improve for them. All right, that the things that they're able to do, that it's just going to only get better and better and better. Okay, because they believe that their kingdom is going to last forever. That's what they believe in their heart, literally. And bear with me here. Let me just look for something. I probably can get that in Psalms, but again, it says, let me read it in the NLT here. Let's start from verse 13 again. Isaiah 14, verse 13. For you said to yourself, all right, I will ascend to heaven and set my throne above God's stars. Because who has the power to make people immortal? Only Yahweh Shem Yahushai. And only one nation on the planet Earth today will ever be immortal. Okay, and that's the facts. But these devils on the left-hand side, they want to create immortality artificially, which artificial is fake, all right? It's not genuine. It doesn't come from the source on the right-hand side. It comes from the left-hand side, okay? There's a lot of fake things on the left. So it says, I will preside, and Yahweh Shem Yahushai controls both, right? The deceived and the deceiver are his. So these devils are made to be deceived. Even though they're deceivers, the Lord ultimately deceives them into believing these things because it's a part of prophecy. That's why they're going to be disappointed. All right, it says, I will preside, I will ascend to the heaven and set my thrones above God's stars. I will preside on the mountain of the gods. Far away in the north, I will climb to the highest heaven and be like the Most High. All right. And it says, instead, you will be brought down to the places of the dead, down to its lowest depths. All right. Into the ground, into the grave. Okay. And that's just the facts of the matter, man. That's what the scriptures say. Thus saith Yahweh Shem Yahushai. So these devils can continue, imagining vain things, empty things, things that are not going to come to pass. So this is Psalm chapter 49, because this is why they think like this. The inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. So in their heart, in their mind, they believe that everything that they're doing is going to continue to flourish and improve, all right, and evolve. But that's not the case. As we read before, because they're going to be cast down to hell, man, to the ground, to a lowest state, to nada, to nothing. So let me get the word house here. And this is a Hebrew word, bayath, okay? So I just want to see what it says. Human bodies. So this is a point what I wanted to get. So they also believe, yes, their physical houses and their the generations of their direct family lines, or they're just their family lineage in general, right? All of these different Edomites, going from the elites down to the lowest, they believe this. They believe that they're superior, but also they believe that they're human bodies, all right? Because that the bodies are the vessel that the vehicles that our spirits dwell in, okay? These chains of darknesses. So they believe that their bodies are going to live on forever. All right, that's what this devil is saying, okay? Right here. That's what he's saying.
Death has always been inevitable. And so we have made all these preparations. Like we talk about immortality, professional achievement. We talk about a life after death. And so there are what...
Anyways, let me just close up with a few more precepts, Lord willing. So let me get, I wanted to get, okay, let's see. All right, so when it comes to the immortality aspect, right, that these devils are obsessed with, that was promised to Jacob only. The true Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? And let me get, first thing I'm going to get here, which I could quote it, but let's go there quickly. Jeremiah chapter 10, all right? Because they're not like us, all right? It says, Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 16, it says, the portion of Jacob is not like them. Okay, so our promise is nothing like what they were promised. And they're nothing like us because they're not the chosen people. They were not set apart. Okay? They were not the original spirits created in the beginning, man, that formed everything that we see today with Yahushai. All right? It says, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. Yahweh of hosts is his name. So they read these things and they pretend to be, these people when they know in their hearts they're not. Okay, because they have read things like Psalms. Let me get it real quick. Psalms 82, which is speaking of you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, calling yourself Caribbean people, West Indians, even Europeans, man, because we're scattered everywhere. You have our people scattered in the Netherlands and Germany, in China, all over the world. Okay? Whoever the Spirit bears witness with, you are also Israelites, because the spirit of an Israelite cannot be anything else but an Israelite, no matter what you look like. All right? So it's all spiritual as well. So verse 6 says, I have said ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. Again, I have said ye are gods. Okay, we are gods. We are angels in human bodies. All right? We are the true powers of the earth, the true rulers and judges of the earth. And that's what the word God goes into. That's what it means. And all of you are children of the Most High, but ye shall die like men and fall like one of the princes, because we're in chains of darkness. So that's why we will die like men. We're subject to the curses as well, dwelling in these chains of darknesses. All right? All of us. Okay? So we are gods, and we will die like men on this side. Well, some of us won't die, actually. All right? But let's read the verse 7 in the NLT. It says, but you will die like mortals and fall like every other ruler, because that's what we have been going through for the past several thousand of years, right? A couple thousands of years. That's what we've been doing, coming back in every other 3 or 4 generation, dying like men. But in this last days, some of us will not even taste of death, because we're at the end. Okay? And let's get the ingredients. Let's get the promise of immortality. All right, let me just try to see where I'm going to start. I can pull up Jeremiah chapter 33, not 33, 31. Verse 34, because it's a reason why we will be immortal, right? Only thing that kills Israel is the sin. And first and foremost, Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai, because Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai created sin, all right? He's a balanced power, and he created the law to correct the sin, all right? The law is perfect, but the flesh is not. So that's why we are not in our immortal state, because sin is a transgression of the law, and sin is the wages of sin is death. So when you sin, you die. All right, and it says, this is Jeremiah chapter 31, verse, let me start at 33, and it says, but this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. You see, not the house of anybody else, the house of Israel. After those days, saith Yahweh, I will put my laws in their inward parts, right, and write it in their heart, and will be their God, and they shall be my people. Now, this has not happened yet, because we still sin. We're not perfect. So the Lord hasn't done this as yet. And it says, and they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know Yahweh, for they shall all know me, the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith Yahweh. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more. So the Lord will remember our sin no more. So that means we will never die. Okay, so we are actually going to be superhumans. Okay, we're going to have new bodies, and we can imagine all manner of things that Esau can't imagine because it will be a reality for us. For example, flying. That's not something vain. That's something that we are actually going to be able to do because we're going to have spiritual powers. All right? And we definitely won't be able to die because the laws will be written in our foreheads and in our hearts, which is spiritual power within itself, because we won't be able to do no wrong. All right? Again, what is sin? What is the wages? Let's get this just to prove it a little more. BLB be weird sometimes, man. Romans chapter 5. All right, well, Romans chapter 6, verse 23. It says, "For the wages of sin is death." The payment of sin is death, man. But the gift of eternal life is through Yahushua, or Savior. All right? Okay? So Yahushua, through Yahushua, we gain immortality because he died on the cross for our sins. Okay? And it's through Yahushua and the grace of Yahweh Shem Yahushua we get that opportunity. And as a result of that, the laws, the promise, which the Lord's promises don't go void. So the promise, covenant, all right, which, these Christians are obsessed with the new covenant because they believe we do. And a simple question to ask them is, so if you're in the new covenant, why are you still sinning? Why aren't you perfect? Because we're not, all right? But through Yahushua, we will be. The laws will be written in our inward parts, and we will be immortal through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Because without sinning, there's no death. Okay? Again, it says, "For the wages of sin is death." The payment of sinning is to die. All right. Now let me I can get Hebrews too. Hebrews is a good one. The point is pretty much made. This is Hebrews chapter 10, verse 16. It says, "This is a covenant that I will make with them after those days, saith Yahweh. I'll put my laws in their inward hearts, in their hearts, Laki, and in their minds will I write them, and their sins and iniquities will I remember no more." And it's pretty much saying the same thing. Okay? So, who has the ears to hear and eyes to see it will understand. Okay? It's pretty simple. And I'm going to close with this. And this is for you Edomites. Okay, this is Job. Because the earth, the power was given into your hand in chapter 9, right? But check this out. Chapter 24 tells you what's going to happen to you. Not 24, chapter 20. And verse 7, it says, let me start at 6. Okay, let's start at 5. It says, all right, let's start at 4. It says, "Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon the earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short?" So the victory, the success, the striving in technology and developments and infrastructure and wealth, whatever it is, man. Because let's get that word triumphing real quick. Okay. Always good to go into words. So it says ringing, crying, shout for joy. Shout for joy, joyful. All right. Okay, so the shouting for joy. So that's pretty much what I hear when this double here speaks.
There are the ways that we've
Sounds
dealt with it
very
up to this
happy
point.
and
And now
joyful.
we have this real possibility of extending our life.
Because of the plots that these devils have, right? Yo, these devils love to plot. And it says, the wicked is short. It's like, yeah, the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite, but for a moment, yeah, just for a moment. It's not even for, it's like it didn't even happen. In point of view of the Most High, Yahweh, Esau's reign is, I don't, it's not even a second, man. It's it's not even a blink of an eye, really and truly. But for us, because one day to Yahweh is a thousand days to what, thousand years to us, right? But he operates outside of time, so that's why I said what I said. It says, though his excellency mount up to the heavens and his head reach onto the clouds, right? All of these different advances in AI and plans and promises, the Elon Musk, the Bill Gates, all of these wicked schemes, that he's planning. It says, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung, right? So he will never be immortal. Okay? He's going to serve his 1,000 years of slavery in the kingdom. Some of these elites will be preserved. They'll be in their bunkers, and we're gonna hunt them down, and we're gonna put them into slavery. All right? And they're gonna die as the devils they are, like the wicked men they are. They're gonna die and come back every 3 or 4 generations until that 1,000 year period has passed, and they're gonna perish forever like their own dung. Okay? They which have seen him shall say, where is he? He's just gonna be like a dream, man, a memory, a drop in the bucket, a drop out of a bucket. Okay? When you flush feces down the toilet, you don't think about that. You don't ever remember it, man. You're not gonna be like, oh, I remember that, that big fat shit. Nah, man. Forgive me, but that's Esau. He's worse than feces. But it says, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, where is he? So Yahweh Shem Shai is gonna disappoint you devils, man. Doesn't matter all this different type of artificial intelligence and different plans you have to be immortal and preserve yourself. It's all vain. All right. So I'm gonna leave it there. And as always, all praises, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah Kwadash, Abad Babal Shalom to the elect.